Well, here we go again. Tennessee made another uninspiring hire in Josh Heupel. Brand new athletic director, same tired result. Look, Josh Heupel is a mediocre hire on every level. But in the SEC, where recruiting is the lifeblood of everything, Josh Heupel couldn't recruit his way out of a paper sack. He is the least charismatic, the least driven recruiter, the least knowledgeable about the SEC of anybody that I can ever remember. And this whole thing just stinks to high heaven. All right. If you are new Tennessee athletic director, Danny White, how do you not reach out to Lane Kiffin, Hugh Freeze, or Jamie Chadwell at all? All three of those guys would have been very interested in the job. No contact whatsoever from the University of Tennessee. How do you not get the deal done with James Franklin, Penn State's football coach, who, if Tennessee were competent, would have been introduced today in Knoxville as the next University of Tennessee football coach? I 100% believe that. I think if I were the athletic director at Tennessee, today James Franklin would have been introduced as the next head football coach at Tennessee. And by the time football season starts, he would have a top 5 recruiting class locked in. I got to really kind of seriously examine my fandom at this point, because I don't think the University of Tennessee over the past 15 years has given me any reason to continue to root for the program. Tennessee is going to start this fall with the fewest number of season ticket holders in my life. I bet there have never been, if you go all the way back to 1980, I bet there have never been fewer Tennessee fans buying into what that program is selling. And Danny White should be ashamed of himself. $6 million Tennessee is going to pay in buyouts for Danny White to Central Florida and for Josh Heupel. Okay? This is an unmitigated disaster. Central Florida is going to hire a better coach than Josh Heupel with the money that Tennessee gave them to do it. Going and hiring Josh Heupel, if you are Danny White and you are his former athletic director, is like taking your cousin to prom, which maybe makes perfect sense given that he's now at the University of Tennessee, and I can say that because I live in Tennessee. But if you take your cousin to prom, it means that you have struck out with everybody that you aren't related to. That's what happened with Danny White. He's supposed to be a guy who can seal the deal, and he failed. Capital F, failed. Josh Heupel, no enthusiasm, no excitement, no energy, no reason to believe that he's going to be able to succeed. Every year at Central Florida, his record has gotten worse. I always say the number one test for whether you should be hiring someone else's coach is whether two things. One, the fan base that you're hiring from has to feel gutted. If you are hiring a coach and the fan base isn't gutted over the departure of their coach, then that's somebody you shouldn't be hiring. Central Florida fans are celebrating because they don't have to keep Josh Heupel and because they're getting $6 million in the process. Two, your rivals have to immediately think, oh, this is going to make things more difficult for us. Everybody is laughing at the idea that Josh Heupel is going to win at a high level. This is a dude who got fired by the University of Oklahoma. He has not in any way, I don't believe, distinguished himself. This is a failure of a hire. And I think in 3 or 4 years, Tennessee is going to be right back where they are right now, trying to go out and find a coach. And this is disgusting and pathetic to me, all right, on its most baseline level. I can run OutKick and also simultaneously make better hiring decisions than anybody at University of Tennessee has done in about 15 years when it comes to the football program. I got to start to ask myself, and I think this is legitimate for all Tennessee fans out there, are you getting back any of the energy that you're putting into the program? And I think the answer is no. And even worse for Tennessee fans, I think a lot of people just don't care anymore. Their love and hate are two sides of the same coin. At least they provoke an emotional reaction. Most Tennessee fans are like, I'm just giving up. I'll do something else. They don't have any faith in the program. They're not going to travel to Knoxville and buy tickets, even coming off of a pandemic season when they weren't able to go watch. They have zero faith in the football program, and I don't blame them at all. And for me personally, I got to re-examine why I root for losers. Like, yes, I was born at Tennessee. Yes, my grandfather played for General Neyland. But I'm way more successful in my chosen career field than the University of Tennessee is. And I bet a decent number of you out there are as well. Why should I root for a loser team and a loser program that is making loser decisions time after time after time? Sure, it might keep me humble because the things that I can control dominate. But I should be controlling Tennessee football because if I did, they'd be dominating. I could have stepped in, run this search, made the right hire, gotten this thing done, and it would be over. And here's what I just keep coming back to again and again and again. Spend money! Spend money! Year after year after year. Tennessee keeps trying to hire cheap-ass, no-talent losers and expecting that they're going to win at a high level. And it's basic business to me. If you don't spend money on the front side, then you lose it on the back side. I don't understand how people don't know this. Lane Kiffin is selling out the stadium in Oxford. They have too much demand for tickets and not enough tickets to sell. If you can't sell tickets, then whatever budget you have out there doesn't matter. Spend $10 million a year on a head coach. If you do, the tickets get sold. You'll make back in beer money what you are losing in the cost of the coach. And I want to pull my hair out because the incompetence time after time after time when it comes to these searches, it's not difficult to figure out what to do. If you have targets who want the job, eliminate money as a reason why you don't get them. There are relatively few proven head coaches in college football. They are worth their weight in gold. Go pay them the gold, and you'll make more gold. That's how college football works. It's all about the coach. That's it. That's the secret. That's the secret sauce. That's all that matters in college football. If you find the right coach, success follows. How do you not talk to Lane Kiffin? How do you not talk to Hugh Freeze? How do you not talk to Jamie Chadwell? How do you let James Franklin not accept this job? How do you not blow him out of the water when it comes to the offer on the table? And how do you go hire this loser who nobody at Central Florida wants to keep? And by the way, give them $6 million in the process for him. I just don't understand it. It doesn't make any sense. This is not a complicated situation. This is not a complicated scenario. If you want to be treated as a top 10 program with top 10 dollars, which is what historically Tennessee has been, the fan base is so loyal that this is still a top 10 revenue school in the entire country, you've got to spend that money on the coach. I don't want to hear any more about juice bars and how fancy the weight room is or how great the new whirlpools are. We're talking about a fan base that's been willing for 100 years to sit on this metal platforms, whatever the heck it is, bleachers, with no back support because they love Tennessee. Have you ever been to Neyland Stadium? Have you sat in there like I have for 20 years? They got little numbers written on aluminum bleachers. There's not even a back behind it. People go because they love Tennessee, not for the amenities. The amenity is a win. It's the only amenity that matters. I'm so sick of all this money being wasted on all this other BS. This is not a difficult decision. Put every dollar that you have into a head coaching contract. I've been arguing this for 15 years now. The Clay Travis dump truck of cash theory. Money solves everything when it comes to the right head coach. Everybody in America has a price. If you offer them enough, eventually they will come. Tennessee has had opportunity after opportunity to do it. Instead, who do we get? Lane Kiffin may not have been an atrocious hire. He was young. He was only there for a year. Derek Dooley, Butch Jones, Jeremy Pruitt, now Josh Heupel. They've actually managed to get less charismatic as the number of coaches they've added have increased. This is, to me, a failure of epic proportions that continues to be replicated. And I think a lot of Tennessee fans are with me. What's the point? There's other ways to choose to be entertained. I can find other ways to spend Saturday rather than watch Tennessee choke away game after game after game. And I'm frankly considering doing it because I just don't think the product's worthy of my money or my support at this time. These failures of coaching searches time after time after time. Danny White should be disgusted with himself. He should be, it's unbelievable that Tennessee spent millions of dollars so he could go hire a guy that he already hired. In fact, the state of Tennessee should be looking into this to see if it's self-dealing. He's buying out a contract that he negotiated and giving all the money to the old school that used to be there. Congratulations, Central Florida. You're going to get to buy a new coach who's better than the one that Tennessee just hired with all of the money that Tennessee just gave you in buyouts. It disgusts me. It's indefensible. I am obviously fired up about it time after time after time. You want incompetent results, you hire incompetent people, and you keep giving them lots of money. Guess I'll just have to keep running my $100 million company, and maybe sooner or later somebody at Tennessee will say, hey, Clay, why don't you take over this search and get it done and actually return Tennessee to a place of prominence. Until then, just continue to suck because that's what Tennessee football is, one big suck factory.